Hi guys, nice to meet you if you're new here, nice to see you if you're not new here. How's it going? I'm Lara. It is finally time to do my wrap up. I've been thinking every single month, maybe I should film a wrap up. Oh, but I didn't read that many books. The video would be too short. And now we're 3 months into the year. Happy April, everybody. Can't believe it's already April. We're 3 months into the year now, so I can finally do a proper wrap up. We're gonna do January, February, and March wrap up for all the books that I read so far this year. These aren't all the books I've read. I did read a lot of books on my Kindle. Not a lot. I think I've just read my 16th book of the year. Let's look. Yeah, I just read my 16th book of the year, and I read the most books in March so far, so I'm just on a roll. What can I say? We know what a wrap-up is. We're just going to go through each of the months, through what books I read, what rating I'm going to give them, you know, all that jazz. The first book that I read this year was actually a reread, and I listened to the audiobook. This will be my third time reading this book. I started it in like November or December time, listening to the audiobook, and I was just slowly listening to it. It was just something because I was in a bit of a slump and I wanted to read a book, but I didn't also really want to read a book, so I was just listening to something that I already previously enjoyed, which of course is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. The first time I read this book, I think I've talked about it, the first time I read this book, I read it physically, and I didn't like it. I read it, I finished it, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. Because everybody talks about how much they love this book, and I was like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? These characters are very toxic for each other. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And so I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to continue this series. So I put it down for a couple of months. This was a while ago. This was like 2 years ago. I put it down. I didn't think about it again. And then more people started saying that they loved the book. And I was like, what did I not see that everybody else saw? So I re-listened to the audiobook, and the characters that narrate these audiobooks for the Magnolia Parks series are amazing. Do so great at really showing what their emotions are through their words, and it's not just a monotone audiobook, because sometimes audiobooks feel very monotone, so we have to speed them up a lot. But I could listen to this audiobook at a regular pace. Not that I'm gonna do that, but I could. First time I read it, didn't like it. Second time I listened to it, really loved it. So I understood what everybody else was seeing that I didn't see, read the rest of the series, and now I've come back to it. I re-listened to the audiobook. I think I'm gonna keep listening to the audiobooks for the rest of the series because I just really enjoy it. I don't know, something about these characters. I didn't even tell you what this book is about. I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know. If we have like similar taste, then you know what this book is about, but I will tell you anyways, just in case. This book is following Magnolia Parks, of course, and BJ Ballantyne. They are a couple that, they're quite young. I think they're in their early 20s. But they had been together since they were young, and they were just inseparable. They've known each other since they were itty bitty kids. They were inseparable when they started dating and in love. And then part of why some people don't like this book and why I didn't like it is because what BJ does. I won't tell you just in case you don't know. You find out fairly early on, I think in the first or second chapter, but I won't tell you to give you some suspense if you don't know. But BJ does something that is unforgivable. So they part ways, but they are so drawn to each other and they keep coming back to each other. They also have the same friend group, so they're always with each other, but they're not dating. But they're so toxic. So like that happens, they split ways and they just keep finding each other but not dating. They'll be okay for a minute, they'll be talking, and then one of them will do something to make the other one upset, and then they're toxic and hate each other all over again, and then they come back, and it's just a repeat. And that's why I didn't like the first time I read it, because I just felt it was so toxic. But it's also so intriguing, addicting, that I want to keep reading it. I want to know what's going to go on, and I don't care that they're toxic. I watch reality TV and they're all toxic. I just watched Temptation Island. Toxic people. I really enjoyed it the second and third time I read this, and I just love them. Do I necessarily root for them as a couple? No. No, I don't actually. I love the feeling of all of their friends and their group and how loving they all are. They're all still kind of toxic as a friend group, but they're all there for each other. I don't know. It feels like a reality TV show that's really addicting that I want to keep watching. I'm also criticizing what they're doing, like a bestie would do. Like, why would you do that? I love you, but why would you do that? Take my advice, and then they don't take your advice. You know what I'm saying? We all We've all done that. Whether it's give advice or don't take the advice. The point is, all of that yapping to tell you that I re-listened to Magnolia Parks for the 3rd time, and I gave it 5 stars, but it doesn't count as my first 5-star of the read, which I don't think I found that this year so far. I mean, like April 2nd, and I don't think I found a 5-star read that's not a reread. I don't think. We'll find out actually during this if I have a 5-star, because I can't remember. Anyways, this was a 5-star because I love it. Then I read my book club pick of the month. If you don't know, let me stop right there. If you don't know, I have a book club on Fable. It's called The Reading Diaries. If you want to come join, you are more than welcome to come join us. This month we're reading Hunger Games, and I'm so excited. I am so excited. But my January book club pick was Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and I really enjoyed this book as well. These books, the series so far feels like easy reads, an easy romance, easy to understand, fun, like palate cleansers, but at the same time there's emotional things happening during these books. So like not super palate cleansy, but also like they're short and they're entertaining and super fun, not like hard to read at all. This one you're following Clementine, or Emmy, and Luke. Luke is her brother's best friend, and they grew up disliking each other. They just didn't get along. She went away. She left their little small town called Meadowlark, and then she came back, and what do you know? Luke has eyes for his best friend's little sister. Emmy is trying to get over something that she's afraid of, and Luke is trying not to fall for his best friend's little sister. And it was just like a fun, entertaining read. And also, so far, the books that I have read in this series have some kind of mental health rep, which I really appreciate. I will continue the series. I gave this book a 3.75 because I did really enjoy it. This next book that I read it on my Kindle, is The Fake Out, which is the 2nd book in the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer. The first time I read this series, it was Behind the Net. I read it sometime last year, and I felt okay about the book. I didn't like absolutely love it, but I didn't hate it either. I'm not the biggest Grumpy Sunshine person. I think that might be it. I think I'm just jumping on the bandwagon. So I read that and I didn't absolutely love it like everybody else did, so I didn't continue the series. But I picked up The Fake Out in January, and oh my goodness, I loved it. I loved it so much. Hazel and Rory are our main characters. Hazel is the sister of the FMC in the first book, and Rory is actually the ex-best friend of the MMC. Interesting dynamic is what it is. But Hazel and Rory, they actually all went to high school together. So like the 2 sisters and the 2 boys, they went to high school together, and she used to tutor Rory. But she thinks Rory is this like cocky, egotistical guy that she just like has no tolerance for. I guess like they just don't like each other, but Rory likes to get under her skin, and he likes to say things that will bug her or get her to say something back or whatever. But they end up fake dating for a reason, and the fake dating of them is just so cute. I love a fake dating trope. Maybe not a Grumpy Sunshine, but I love fake dating. So they start fake dating, and there's this one scene where like the whole team gets together. It's a hockey romance, by the way, if you couldn't tell by the cover. The whole team gets together and they have to do this like activity. I won't tell you because it was such a fun scene to read, but they do this activity where they each have to like team up, and it was so funny. I loved it so much. These characters, I really enjoyed this book, Hazel and Rory, and like them helping each other through like their own personal things. It was such a good read. I really enjoyed it. This one was really close to being a 5-star read, and because I'm stubborn, I didn't give it 5 stars. I gave it a 4.75 because I'm stubborn, like I said, but I really did enjoy it and it made me want to continue the series. Next book I also read on my Kindle. It was Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. It is the 2nd book in the, what is it called? One Dark Window duology. Really enjoyed this one as well. There's these cards all over Blunder where they live, and each card has like a different power, I guess you could say. So like there's a card that makes you tell the truth. There's a card that makes you invisible or stronger, or the list goes on. They're everywhere. Part of also these cards is like a dark magic that has plagued Blunder. It's like a sickness that some people have gotten that gives them this weird power. You guys, I'm not explaining this good at all. there's a dark magic over Blunder and you can get sick. If you get sick, you might have these powers, but the power takes over you and your body. They're also not welcome. King and his crew find out that you're sick, they take you out, basically. You can't have this magic. Our female main character, of course, got sick as a kid, but she thought she never had this magic that came about. There's never this power that came to her. Well, one day she touches this card and it's called the Nightmare card, and there's this like old spirit in it, and she absorbs the spirit. He talks to her sometimes, or he like takes over her body when she needs it. He lives within her, but nothing comes for free using his magic if she needs it. That's all I'm gonna tell you, but that's kind of how One Dark Window starts off. And then I read Two Twisted Crowns. I didn't read this one. I read Two Twisted Crowns, and we're again following the same story of Elizabeth. I think that's how you say her name. I don't actually know. We're following her and like the Nightmare and her and some other people. It was really interesting. I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a good end to the series. I do wish I got a little bit more of her character. In the second book, you get more POVs. I don't remember in the first book if you get more than one. If it's just her. Maybe it's her and this other character. I don't remember. But I wish we got more. But it was still really enjoyable. This series I would have kept reading if there were more books. I really enjoyed Rachel Gillig's writing. But I gave Two Twisted Crowns also a 4.75 because it was just fun and I really enjoyed it. But again, I wish I got a little bit more of another character, so I didn't give it a 5-star. And then the next book I read, I won't be telling you too much about because, I mean, we should I believe everybody really knows what these series is about, but I won't be talking too much about it because I'm filming a whole separate vlog on it. It's just not gonna be out for a while. I reread Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. On that note, I also read Destroy Me, which is the first novella in this series. I love Shatter Me so much. This series is truly and deeply engraved in my heart and my soul. I love it so much. The whole series, 6, 7, 10-star read. I don't even know. I love it to death. So I reread Shatter Me because I'm filming a vlog on like rereading the whole series. Also, Watch Me comes out this month and I won't be able to read it until I reread the entire series. I've put that on myself. Nobody told me that I had to do that. I've done it myself. 5-star series, Shatter Me as the first book, like 4, 4.5. Destroy Me, can't really rate a novella, but this novella, the person that we're following, love, because you get a different perspective on this character. Love it so much. Destroy Me, I technically read in February. That was the first book I finished in February. Those were all the books that I read in January. Now we're moving on to February. Destroy Me, I started in January, finished February 1st. But the first actual book that I read would be The Wingman, which is the third book in the Vancouver Storm series. In this book, we're following Darcy and Hayden. Hayden has a lot of cameos throughout the first and the second book, and he's like one of the characters that you have to get a book on because he's just like the life of the party kind of guy, and you're like, he's got to find somebody. Like, he deserves it, but because he says things in the first and the second book that you're like, oh, my heart, Hayden, please. He's like a sweetheart, but he definitely has some deeper sides of him. And Darcy is one of his best friends. I don't know, I don't want to tell you too much. Darcy is one of his best friends, and sometimes it's hard to tell you about it, like a book, when there's stuff that happens in the other two books that I would love for you to read on your own and see that. But like, that's the whole point in me doing a wrap-up, is to tell you what the books are about, how I enjoyed them. Anyways, Darcy's one of his best friends. She's going through her own thing. She ends up moving in with Hayden. They just have this like silly best friend relationship. There's like this gnome I won't tell you anything about, but it's really funny her interaction and his interaction with this gnome. But her life just changed very drastically. So she ends up moving in with him. They are just healing each other. Just like in the other book, these two characters are healing each other. Hayden is known as like the life of the party, playboy, doesn't settle down, and you don't really know Darcy all that well from the other books. She might have a cameo here or there, but you don't really know her. Darcy has never really had the experience because she was in a long-term relationship. She's never really had that dating experience. So she says, oh, Hayden, you like to date people and go out with people. How about you be my wingman? And Hayden, of course, says yes. Now he's her wingman. They go out to bars, they go to dinner, they do whatever, and he is going to be there for her. But does he like it? No, he doesn't. It's a fun book. I didn't love it as much as I loved The Fake Out, but nonetheless, I still loved it. I gave this book a 4-star. Then I read Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan. Kennedy Ryan writes romance, but so much more than a romance book. If you go into a Kennedy Ryan book, I beg of you, please look up the content warnings. They're so emotional, so real. They get such raw emotions, and her writing just really portrays these characters so well. Following Iris and August. It literally starts off with them in a bar and she's watching this basketball game, and he comes in because he's about to go to this like big playoff game. He comes in, he sees her, they start chit-chatting, and they really hit it off. But Iris has a boyfriend. They end the night by her telling him that she's dating somebody. Then the next day is the playoff game. Of course, her boyfriend is his biggest rival. Then we fast forward to them being actually drafted into the NBA, playing for different teams. August is like living it up, he's doing whatever. Iris is in her perfect public relationship, but behind closed doors it's very different. And again, before you read these books, please look up the content warnings. It was so beautiful and emotional, and watching Iris grow as a character, no matter what she was going through, she was still so strong, so brave. And we never know like what people are going through, and I feel like this book really shows you never know what somebody else is going through, and you always have an opinion on something. There's like a specific scene that I'm thinking of where Iris is listening to these two other people talk about another person, and these girls are given like I wouldn't do that, I would do this, how could this person ever put up with that, and blah blah blah. And Iris is thinking to herself, like, I understand her, I see her, I get this person that they're talking about. But of course, like, you just never know what somebody's going through. Iris seems so brave, so strong, and she is so brave, so strong, but like on the outside you would never know what's going on behind closed doors, what's going on in her personal life. I gave this book a 4.5 star. Last book I read in February, Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This is a dark romance series, and it's like a Peter Pan retelling, except for the main male character is Captain Hook. This book was fun to read. I didn't necessarily love it, but it was definitely fun. I enjoyed like the little snippets that you get from Peter Pan. Calls her darling, or like her brother, the Jolly Roger, Croc, like all these different characters. I love the sprinkle of Peter Pan, and I understand it's a Peter Pan retelling, I get it, but I love the sprinkle, and I gave it a 3.75. That was the last book I read of February. Now we're moving on to March, where I read the most books thus far, and it was a great reading month. I enjoyed everything that I picked up. I read some really good books. First, we'll start off with Wild Side by Elsie Silver. Love Elsie Silver, love an Elsie Silver book. This is the third book in the Rose Hills series. Rose Hills is right after Chestnut Springs. I love that all of her series are somehow intertwined. So we have Gold Rush Ranch, then we have Chestnut Springs, Rose Hill. It's like all different areas in Canada. There's a map, you guys. Oh my gosh, I did not even see this. I read this book on my Kindle, so I've not opened this book. I didn't even see this. Gorgeous, beautiful, love. That's not how I envisioned the characters. Not how I envisioned them at all. Anyways, there's a map somewhere here. It's a very dark map. You can't really see it. But we have Chestnut Springs. We have Rose Hill. Alberta up here. Emerald Lake, which I think is where we're going next, as my guess. We still have one more book in this series, which is Wildcard. It was just announced not too long ago. The characters that we're following this book, we get a couple of glimpses of them throughout the first and the second book. And they're like an unexpected but expected duo. Wildside is following the single dads. So the first book we're following one single dad, another single dad. You get the gist. They have this bowling league. Reese is put into this bowling league. I think it's the first book. Reese just gets pushed into this bowling club by Tabitha. Tabitha's like, here you guys go, take him. I don't want him right now. I'm going to work. We get that scene in this book, and it's so different. So like the first book, he just gets pushed in. Like whatever. In this book, you get the details, obviously, like who Reese is, who Tabitha is, why he was pushed into the bowling league, all the surrounding context, and it's so different. And also the take on like single dad in this book is also very different. It's different in every book, but like this one is sweet but also very sad. Tabitha basically gets guardianship of her nephew. This is one of those ones where there's so much happening and so much that is revealed in this book that you really just go into it. Like after you read the first two, just go into this. Oh wait, I forgot to tell you one other thing. The main character's a wrestler. Reese is a wrestler, and that was such a fun touch, such like a fun career that was given to him. And I really, really enjoyed that. I grew up watching wrestling, like WWE, Raw, whatever. I grew up because I had two older brothers and I watched it with them. I went to like an actual show once. The action in the matches, it was so fun. I absolutely loved it, and it brought me back to my childhood. Then I have another reread. This one I read half the book, listened to the audiobook. Let me tell you, the narrator of this audiobook, Chef's Kiss, she did amazing. Let me figure out her name because you need to know. Let me tell you what the book is. It is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I did a reread of this because Oathbound just came out and I wanted to reread Legendborn before I picked up Bloodmarked. Then I can go into Oathbound. So I reread this, but sometimes when I'm rereading a book, I would much rather listen to it than reread it myself. I feel like when I listen to an audiobook that I've already read the book, I missed a lot of details listening to it. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like I missed some details while reading this that I captured when I was listening to it. It's like a whole different experience. So if I would really recommend. The narrator of this audiobook's name is Jonice Abbott Pratt, and she did absolutely amazing. If you want a YA fantasy book, pick this up. Pick it up here. Pick it up. The first time I read this, I gave it a 5-star. The second time I read this, how about I give it a 6-star? It was just so good. I love it so much. And the magic system can be kind of intricate. There's a lot of different names in this story. A lot of different powers. There's a lot in this story, and not to say that the world building is hard, because we're living in a regular world. The world building is not hard, but the magic system can get a little confusing. But listening to the audiobook, like I said, I've read this, so I already knew the magic system, but listening to the audiobook just made me understand it so much more. We're following Bree. She loses her mother, but then she goes into this early college where she's still a high schooler, but she's taking college classes on a college campus. She goes to an early college. Her first night there, she's with her best friend. Her and her best friend both get accepted into this college. So they go to this college party. During this college party, something happens and someone tries to erase her memory with what's going on. She starts to leave and then she's like, what am I doing? So she goes back, she's watching, and she's shocked. And then something jogs her memory of the night that her mother died. There's a secret society called Legendborn, and she needs to figure out how to get into Legendborn. She needs to figure out how to be a part of them, because she thinks with that memory of her mother that they have something to do with her mother's death, and she needs to figure it out. The Society of Legendborn is meant to hunt these creatures down that are like demon creatures that are entering their world through portals that shouldn't be there. She tries to join the Society of Legendborn. There's a bunch of trials, and during this time where she's entering Legendborn, she also meets this other person, and then she starts discovering something with herself, possible powers that she has, who she is, and her ancestry, and she's learning just so much about herself and her ancestors. I will be reading Bloodmark soon because this is so fresh on my mind. I've been starting to go on walks again because the weather's finally getting nice again. I say that, but then it snowed like 2 days ago. Yesterday. It snowed yesterday on April Fool's. I was like, what kind of sick joke? Anyways, I've been starting to go on walks, and during my walks, I would prefer to listen to an audiobook. So I was looking up some audiobooks that I could read, and I've seen a lot of people talking about Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, so I went ahead and picked that book up. So I started listening to it on my walks. It's a dark romance story about masked men. Our FNC of the story has this hidden part of herself where she really enjoys watching masked men on social media. She's like commenting on this masked man in his videos and how she wishes he would just like be waiting in her house when she gets home from work. He ends up seeing this, so he's like, you know what a good idea. I'm gonna go to her house. I'm gonna film something in her house and then I'm gonna post it. And is she gonna notice that it was me? He also starts to stalk her. I really enjoyed like the first 30-40% of the book. Then I didn't really enjoy it anymore. And I don't know why. I don't know if it just felt repetitive to me. I really wanted to enjoy it, and I really enjoyed the characters, the narrators. I thought they did a great job, but I don't even know. I enjoyed the first 30-40% of the book, and then I didn't really necessarily enjoy the rest. I felt like it was just kind of plateaued, maybe. And then something happens, and I was like, great, it's gonna pick up, we're gonna go crazy, and then it just plateaued again. I don't know. I really wanted to enjoy it because I know a lot of people do enjoy it, but I did not enjoy it as much as I wish I did. I gave it a 3-star because I did, like I said, enjoy the first 30-40%. I read The Fall Risk on my Kindle by Abby Jimenez. It's just a short story. It was such a cute story. I feel like any short story that I've read by Abby Jimenez, what, 2 or 3 short stories? I don't know. But the stories that I've read by her that are short, I think they could be a full-length 300-400 page book, and I would absolutely eat it up. Every book that I've read by Abby Jimenez, I love so much. The characters, the writing, the story, I love it all. We're following 2 neighbors, second floor of their apartment. Something happens where their stairs are gone, so they can't get up or down. So they're just stuck there for a couple of days. And they just bond over it. And I obviously don't want to tell you too much about it because it's very short. It's what, like 100 pages maybe? Maybe not even 100 pages. But even though it's a short story, Abby Jimenez really knows how to like pack a punch in her stories and teach life lessons. In the story, they're each going through their own thing too. And I'm not going to tell you about it again because it's a short story. Just read the book. Trust me, just read the book. But they're each going through their own thing. And they kind of just forget about it all during that weekend. In this 80, 90 page, 100 page, I don't know, book, there's characters are growing and blooming with each other. It's so interesting too because it's just a couple of days of them being stuck in their apartments. But also some fun characters are their best friends. Each of them has a best friend. And it was just a fun, short story. I really enjoyed it. So for a short story, I gave it a 4.75. I feel like I couldn't give it a 5-star because, again, it's a short story. And I would have given it 5-star. This doesn't make any sense. I would have given it 5-star if it was longer. I just felt like it could have been longer, but she did such an amazing job for a short story. The next books I read for a video that will be coming out in about a week or 2. I haven't even finished that video, so it's not out yet. But I finally picked up, because I've been non-stop talking about how I will finally read it, I finally picked up Legendary by Stephanie Garber. This is the second book in the Caraval series. Love the Caraval series. I'm not going to talk too much about it because, again, I do have a video coming out where I really go into, not detail, but I really talk about the series and this book specifically. But I will say that one thing I did talk about, it's so interesting reading a book and reading a series and being online or watching people online talk about books and their opinions on a book. Because I remember when I was reading Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy, obviously you're supposed to start with Caraval. I didn't start with Caraval. I do think you should, but I didn't. When I first started reading those books and people were talking about Caraval, a lot of people, I feel like, don't like this series. From what I have seen online, on TikTok, YouTube, whatever, people don't love this series. They didn't like the writing, they thought it was boring, or whatever. I have absolutely loved every single book that I've read. 2 books, to be exact. I've read the first 2. I've enjoyed both of them so much. Caraval was a 5-star read for me, and Legendary is right up there. It was so good. I love the story. I've recommended it to so many people. I would recommend it to you. I think my favorite part is the games. I really love like a trial book or games in a book, and this series has just so much action in it and such thought that goes into the series. I just really enjoyed it. I don't know how the next book is going to go. I don't know if we're going to get those trials or games, whatever, in the next book because of the way this ended. And that's why I didn't give it a 5-star, was because the ending wasn't bad. Let me start there. The ending wasn't bad. I don't know where I was. I had to stop for a minute. But I know I was talking about Legendary, but I don't know what I was saying. I love the series. I love the storytelling and the writing and the whimsical feel of all of like the magic type in the actual games of Caraval. Love it all. I didn't rate this, and I don't really know what to rate it. I think maybe 4.5. I don't know. I'm gonna go with 4.5 for now. 2 more books and then we're done. Then I picked up Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage. This is the second book in the Rebel Blue Ranch series. It's also, again, same thing as Done and Dusted, really. A simple, easy romance read. This time we're following Wes and Ada. Wes is one of the brothers. He's one of the writers. So there's Amos, which is the dad. There's the 2 brothers, Wes and Gus, and then there's Emmy. Wes is the middle child, so he has like middle child syndrome as they described in the book. He kind of just maybe feels a bit overlooked sometimes, or that he's not his brother, he's not his little sister. He has this project that feels like it's his and he feels so proud of it. The book starts off of them in a bar. It's Ada. We're following Ada's point of view. We're in the bar and she's new to this town. Of course, she's new to Meadowlark. She's never been to a small town, but she's there and Wes comes in. They end up having a moment and then she's gone. She's out of there. Bye, Wes. Never will see you again. Until the next day, he finds out that Ada is actually the head of this project that they're doing. The only thing I wish with this book is that we got more of this project that they're doing. We didn't get too much of it. It is a very short book. It's like less than 300 pages, like right at that 300 page mark. So there wasn't much writing to get into it, but I feel like I wish we got a little bit more of the project, but I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the characters and I love like a cowboy romance. 3.5 again. I think it was just a great, easy, fun read and I really do enjoy the series. Last book that I read, it was an audiobook and again, it was a book club book. I didn't read my book club book for February, but I did for March. In March, we were reading Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I tried reading it a couple of times. I tried to pick it up a few different times where I would read the first chapter, 2 chapters, 3 chapters, and I would be like, what did I just read? I don't understand any of it. I'm lost. I didn't understand anything that I was reading. I just kept reading the same thing over and over with nothing happening up here. It was just a bunch of words on my Kindle. Couldn't understand. So I finally decided I'm going to pick up the audiobook. I was just so confused when I first started reading it. The more I listened to the audiobook, I was like, whoa, what's going on? It's about these 2 male main characters. They were best friends in college. It was Victor and Eli. They're best friends in college. They have this project that they need to do. I forget what it's called, like a senior thesis maybe? Is that what it's called? I don't know. They have this project that they have to do, and Eli decided he was going to do his project paper on EOs, which is extraordinaries, people who have powers. And he was gonna make it real. The way to make it real is you basically have to die but want to come back to life, from what I understand. Part of the reason I didn't understand it was because there's different timelines. It's like 10 years ago and 2 days ago or 1 week, whatever. It was the timelines were throwing me off. Something happens with Victor and it goes crazy. I'm like lost, but I'm intrigued and I also kind of understand what's happening, but what the heck is happening? What is wrong with this person? Extraordinaries that we had in the book. Loved it. I love this like one side character. I love this one side character. And when we were getting like towards the end of the book, I was stressed for my characters. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. I will definitely keep reading the series. I'm glad that I read it for book club. I don't know if I would have picked it up otherwise. Maybe like later down the road. I've never read a V.E. Schwab book, but I did enjoy the writing and I did like the audiobook. So I also give this a 3.5. I think honestly I would give it a bit higher. I've been thinking about the book since I read it. So like maybe 3.75, maybe 4-star. I'm not sure. We'll see when I'm editing this what I decided on. But it was a fun read. Those are all the books that I read the first 3 months of the year. I probably will do this again like every couple of months. I won't do it every single month. I went through a really large slump last year and especially this month, I had such a good reading month. I enjoyed a lot of the books that I picked up. I finally started recording again. That was my wrap up. Other than that, I hopefully will see you next time. Bye! Thanks for watching.